only close to 7 a.m. So. It's nice. I think nature is strong for the time being. I'm lucky to have my mother in my life. I don't blame Rick Answer. River's gone down a foot. The river comes up to see here. I made a little pile to put my camera on. The river comes up, it'd be kind of fun to see here. It's not as monumental as the other one I made. I mean, I could pile more stones on either side and have armrests, but I think this is nice. Equal things around here. It's stable. I got a place to put my foot down here. And they had some rascally young people around. Nobody can come in here. It takes too much work. A drunk person would never find it. I came around the corner and thought someone deconstructed it. I didn't like, where is it? Because you could just take all the stones down and it'd be gone. I thought of going over there and making a stone thing on the other side. There's things I can do. I'm not sure if I'm going to stay here all day, but it's kind of cool. It's very private. After you settle down, it's like the more you stay in nature, the more settling it becomes. I don't sit directly on stone. I put a wool hat underneath me and it's still cold. There should be some sun, but there isn't. Beautiful trees. Amazing. Very strong, very wise, very generous, perfectly set in nature's symphony. You know? Wow, I mean, what is in control of nature? Is nature in control of itself? The name they gave me at my birth. Landon. On and an are not the most positive sounds in the English language. Land, dawn. It's got land, it's got sun, it's got mothering, it's got ether, water, it's got wind, baby. My Indian name is Man Who Makes a Lot of Wind. That should be my Indian name. Man Who Makes a Lot of Wind. Kingfisher. Flying right over me. Time. We got the owl is our friend today, taking us through any darkness, helping us to see through the darkness that helps to engender the sun. Do we not have to work a little bit to be born? But it is good work. I think the purest work you can get is the work of being born. Or it takes work to die, doesn't it? It takes work to be sick. It takes work to get better. It takes work to come back to life. It takes work to do all the fundamental things about living. It takes work to breathe. It takes work to talk. It takes work to get up in the morning. It takes work to be a human being. Give yourself a pat on the back. It takes work. It takes work to make a thing go right. One of the kind of conspiracy sort of things I'm struck by in my way, choosing my way of life, where I'm not working in a typical fashion for money, but I am generating a lot of wealth for Canada and for this land. I generate a lot of wealth. I generate a lot of wealth being who I am. It's amazing. And you do too. But that doesn't solve our problems. You know, it's up to us to how to distribute and understand our wealth. The king, in his labor of born. It's up to you, isn't it? What your touch, what your mind is willing to look into, where you're going to take your labors, what you're going to do, think, feel, what you're going to process, what you're going to ignore, what you're going to focus on, and what you're going to. As you sort through the morass of all possible stimuli and all the possible ways, and everybody else around you, and the people that came before you, and the people that are going to come after you. You are a son upon his throne. Your decisions all make a difference in the world. Yeah, we're rich, but what are we going to do about it? Where is our richness? Even the richest man must to be the poorest man. Even the richest man must suffer to be the man. So each day, I risk being a poor man. But each day, I feel like I've accomplished something. Why? Because it takes work to get through the day. If you can get through the day sitting on a stone throne beside a beautiful river, calling yourself like some kind of naturalist, oh, what are you out? I'm here to see the kingfisher. I have an appointment to see Mr. Merganser or Mrs. Robin. I have an appointment to see Mrs. Slug and Mr. Crow. I have an appointment with the stone people and the people who root deeply in the earth and beside these sacred rivers who have spirits of their own. That a man has a spirit, this river has a spirit. Tell me why. Tell me why that is so. Tell me why I can sound that forth and why others will sound forth also. A spirit that we as though share with the spirit of other living beings. The earth, the sky, the air, the water, the sun, the stars, the moon. It is not just poetry that we share with the heavens and the earth. It is a spirit made sound, being made sound, a spirit that labors to be made sound, even as we labor to breathe, even as we labor to be born. And all of our mothers labor to help us come to birth. Even our enemies, even the evil of the world that works with us, or hurts us, or challenges us, or makes us go work in a different direction. If I see evil over there, whatever I call evil in my mind, like white people, I go over here. If I saw white people coming up over there, I'd probably sit here. But if I saw white people coming along through these trails, I might leave. Why am I here? Why did I not build this throne next to a metropolis where people are mingling? Why didn't I come to a local college and build this and sit in your courtyard? Or sit outside one of your classrooms on a pile of stones? What would it mean to you then? Out of context, perhaps? What if I stared at a picture of a river and I sat there all day long, smoking weed, drinking coffee, talking about my personal issues, and staring at a picture that you could not paint as vivid as where I sit now? What an agony it would be. You would not want to watch a man, a spirit, in such agony as sitting outside the classrooms where you are presumed to be learning everything that's important about the universe, the world, economics, who you are, what you should do with your life. Today, tomorrow, ever, what other people should do. What is true and what is false? What is history? What is anthropology? What is everybody doing? How do you know how important everything is? There's a lot to learn. But the Spirit questions things. The Spirit knows that in the most beautiful, sacred way, everything in the world, in the culture, in the dominant consciousness, everything that I'm doing, everything that's sacred, everything, every child playing, every beautiful song moving through every wild meadow where anyone could ever appreciate a moment of peace from this crazy, difficult life could be your enemy. Could be as though stuffing out and snuffing out life. It's not about you unless you find your own space, right? Your own voice. If all of that will not provide for you to speak, if not entirely freely, maybe with some effort, and you could not imagine the world to think that much about your words in some sacred place, then that world is your enemy, isn't it? If you can't imagine that your voice, however silly it may be to everyone, even you, the sanctity to exist in these airs, in this booga 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 in the air. Do you think the most sacred person doesn't fart or piss themselves or shit their pants? Do you think the most sacred man or woman never said, I'm lonely and I think my pussy hurts? There are pains enough in our minds and in our bodies to give us enough to do all of our lives. There's always enough pain. There's always agony. There's always bereavement. There's always a world that you could feel, in some sense, has communicated to you that your breath and your voice doesn't rate as much as the voice of who demands your attention and your obedience. Now, certainly in our lives as children, it's important that we learn and we know on instinct to listen to bigger people. Tell us about what's real and what's safe and what isn't safe. To direct our lives. To help save us the trouble of hurting ourselves or doing something stupid that's just going to like traumatize us. To keep us safe. But here's the trick. The best of worlds cannot do that for you unless it allows you to treat that world as your enemy. Even a mother's womb can be a child's enemy. It's okay. Every mother's womb has probably been inhospitable for every person in the world for 1,000 years. In some sense, it has been your greatest enemy. That if you can provide that your own mother's womb might have snuffed out the voice of your spirit. But it's okay. You made it. We could say evil is part of a philosophical sequence of creation. But when it's most personal, when it's something about the world that you love or trust or listen to or should, and it doesn't respect someone or it hurts them or excludes your voice, which is the thief, the rapist, and the murderer, the scapegoat, in ways that can filter through the behavior of your own family, your own surroundings, the people that everywhere around you, white people, men, women. You think I'm the only person who ever thought, hey, I'm scared of girls? Am I the only person who said, I'm scared of men? I'm scared of the government, I'm scared of the police. I'm scared of rich people. I'm scared of people who in all their hard-earned pleasures might not be thinking very much about me right now. It's all well and good to walk by a homeless person on the street. What if you were homeless? What if someone is as insufficiently cared for as all the strangers walking past people in the world? Does the average person care about your voice enough for you to feel good about that? Do we live in some courteous cult where everybody's like, oh, behold, another voice goes by me. Please, oh, the sanctity of your gates. Oh, lo be unto thee. Do you find when you open your mouth that everybody wants to hear what you have to say all the time? I don't think in my studies that there's a human being among any of the working classes, rich or poor, who does not behave or talk reliably and innocently and honestly and bravely so, as though their mind and their spirit has not felt something like the instinct of a mother wanting to abort it, or dealt with people who behaved as though their voices had been aborted by yours. Maybe this whole world, including me, if you were a victim of violence, let's say, has managed to eliminate your voice. Huh? We can have a world that includes the voices of victims. What if we don't have that world? What if I'm a part of a world that doesn't, you know, I cash disability checks, I have a ATM, I participate in the economic, which is basically the political system. I have enough from day to day, and some people don't. Am I part of a good thing? Are we helping those people? Are we listening to them? Because it's basically domestic abuse, right? It's basically domestic abuse, right? And that's nothing basic about it, but I mean, that's an inhospitable home for the spirit. That's so much of a challenge that in order to continue living, the spirit has to break away from their entire family of origin and live on the street. In fact, members of their family, verbally and non-verbally, will basically shout and yell and threaten them to do that. Fuck off. They could be 6, they could be 7, they could be 8, they could be 10, they could be 12, they could be 15. Did you feel in your life that that's something you would have enjoyed? The challenge of homelessness. After years of being treated as though you don't exist, as though your emotional body doesn't, even notwithstanding that parents and people need a certain authority, right? Not all your feelings get to rule the world, but they certainly shouldn't be eliminated to the point of emotional and physical harm. And they will do both, and it will get worse until you be dead. There was no trial, but you're being executed. And the people you love can't help themselves. They can't help themselves. It's like you trigger them. Somebody had to be treated by these gorillas this way, and it happened to be you. Nobody talks about it. Nobody deals with it. Nobody wants to think about it. What happens when human families operate like reliably, innocently shocked primates? We've got laws, we've got social services, we've got all kinds of opportunities and support systems. I don't give a fuck. It's bigger than that. It's like, it's something we should be talking about more. It's something that should be a part of, and I think it is a part of people's daily thoughts and suffering. Because where so many people in the world go hungry, or have been hurt or injured or shocked in these ways that last people's entire lives. Not that life should be without shock always, or difficulty or challenge, because to be born is a challenge. It is work to survive in the world. The really interesting area is how much work should it be? Because work comes with a wage. Work is a payment. You want to pay your bills, you work to pay for your bills, right? Suffering is also work. Suffering is a payment. It can be seen as a punishment. A bill is like a punishment, right? It says, you have to give me something. When you suffer, you have to give the world something because it took something from you and said, hey, you're not giving us enough. We're going to take your peace of mind. We're going to take your ability to feel safe as a child. And so anytime anyone feels like something's been taken from, that's like they had to pay that. And they say, oh, forgive it. Basically that, that was the payment. Maybe your family didn't work hard enough and the world needed to take a little extra suffering from you. So in your worldview, if 10 generations of families work as hard as farmers in the Dust Bowl Depression, and one of their distant descendants is me, then I should suffer because I'm not working hard enough to your satisfaction. That should be like a law, a punishment that you can wield over me in the name of your society. See, that's a problem for me. It's a problem in how you enumerate the value of the suffering and the labor of 10 generations of my family, that you think that we owe you something more. Oh, I know that humans could never suffer enough. We could never pay enough, right, to make life's problems go away. The best you can do is the best you can do. And don't do nothing, right? Don't work yourself to death. And don't make things worse than they already are. Pretty good advice. See, I think my family's paid enough. I think it's time for someone like me to come along in the world and say, just by sitting on a pile of stones, I do labor with every sanctity that thou doth labor with. Don't mince words with me. Don't wield laws over me that are predicated on your labor and suffering being worth more than mine. Don't mince words around. What is good for you is good for me. What is lawful for you is lawful for me. You get a certain consideration. I get a certain consideration. I'm an animal surviving. It's work, I assure you. My suffering is real. Also, that is work, I assure you. It's work to be out here alone. I supply you with a lot of evidence of my suffering. Rather, I would tell you that I'm feeling better today than I felt in a long time. I want to do what I need to do for nature. I want to do my job. My suffering will come and go. But at least I know that one area of my life that's very fruitful is telling people what I do with my life, what it's worth to me, what it's worth to myself. It accomplishes. Merganser. Woo! 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 Listen to that river. Let's stand up. Listen to that river. It's cold today. Nobody told me it was going to be this cold. It's like winter again. Winter. I might want to start walking. Oh, the stone has some pink on it. Look at you, Pinky. Pinky. Pinky's going over there. Pinky. Pinky, Pinky. Pinky, Stinky, Pinky. Why does a child play with words? Why do I think this is cool? Why would I do this? Look at this. You know, it took me a half hour and then another half hour to put this together and to feel good about it. It's stable. Oop. Maybe not. It's moving. I better move this out of the way. It's a little unstable. That's okay. I think I know what I'm going to do. I know what to do. You got to put a rock under here. I gotcha. What you do is you stick. And then whatever happens, it's not going to fall apart at least, right? I'm an amateur.